G'day, welcome to the next Excel tute. This one's on how to use formula to link cells. If you haven't already done so, can you please open the Excel spreadsheet that's called Use Formula to Link Cells to Charts. It should look like this. Again, it builds on the previous sheets we've done and takes things a step further. On the Chart tab, looking down in the bottom left hand corner, you see we have the chart and the data table from which that chart's developed. And if you go down to the data table tab in the bottom left hand corner and we move to the first sheet, we can see it's a similar table to what we've had earlier, but in this one I've sorted the table into groups, so we've got all the quadrats with the burnt daisies together, and for each of those we've calculated the average number of seedlings in each of those groups. So if we click, for example, on the formula bar here, we can see that this cell has a formula in it for the average number of seedlings in all of the burnt quadrats for daisies, and the formula includes the 4 cells above the formula bar. Each of the formula below it does the same thing. See, for example, we have 9 seedlings on average for daisies in the burnt quadrat, and we have 6 seedlings on average for sedges in the burnt quadrats. If we move to the chart tab down the bottom left hand corner and go down to here, you can see we've entered this data here to draw this chart. Now, at the moment, the way we entered this data here was I simply typed those numbers into this cell. And we did that because we knew to draw a graph like this, we needed a very simple table like this to draw our graph from. We can't draw a graph directly from the table on the previous page. Okay. At the moment though, there's a problem we've got here is we've just manually typed these numbers into that, and that's got a few different deficiencies. First off, we've got a big problem. We could just type the numbers wrong into here, so we've got it by typing it in manually. We're introducing a source of error. For example, we might have put 9.5 in there or 19, which would give you the wrong answers, and that could have just been by a simple mistake when we typed it in. There's another way we can put the data in here that's way better than just typing it in. Essentially in Excel, you never want to retype data in. You want to put it in once and you want to have Excel do all the calculations so you minimize your chances of making errors. So rather than looking back to the previous table, writing down what all the averages were and then typing them into here, we can use Excel to link to those averages so we don't make mistakes. And I'll show you how to do that now. First off, let's just delete these numbers here. When you do, we'll see our chart still exists, but it's got nothing in it because there's no numbers. If we type any old number in there, you can see our chart comes back. Okay, chart still exists, there's just nothing there for it to get its data from. So, move to the burnt daisy cell here, the first one, and what we're going to do is insert a formula. The formula enables us to link this cell to other cells on the spreadsheet. And the simplest thing a formula has is it starts with an equal sign. So if we type in here equals, we now, without doing anything else, we move down to the data table tab in the bottom left, click on that, and we move up to the cell that tells us the average number of daisies in the burnt cells, which is here. If we click on that cell and we push return or enter, you'll see that it clicks back to this cell here and it's inserted that average data for us. Now, we haven't typed the number 9 in. If you look up to the formula bar at the top here, you'll see that it's actually typed a link in. It's typed the address of the cell that that number comes from. And that cell has whatever information is in the cell that's called data table E8. Now the address here, data table E8, includes the tab, which is called data table, and the cell name. So if we return to the data table here and we move to our cell, we can see that that cell here is called cell E8. That's where that number's come from. Now we can do the same thing for our other values. We move to the unburnt plots that had daisies in it. To get the average of those, we insert the equal sign, move to unburnt daisies. Here, click on that cell, inserts number 4. Burnt sedges equals, move to burnt sedges equals that cell. Insert that here. Unburnt sedges, insert equals, down to the data, and unburnt sedges is here. 2 things to note. First off, if we click on any cell and go up to the formula bar, we can see that the formula up here refers to the cell where we got that data from on the previous sheet. If we move back to that sheet, that has a great advantage because it means that any change we might make to this sheet automatically flows through to that summary table and to the chart. For example, up here we had 13 seedlings recorded. Maybe when we look back at our data we go, gee, that's a bit higher, it's an error, there was no way that, should have been 3. If we change that value to a 3, Excel automatically changes our average value here because that's linked to that. And if we go back to here, we see our value here is automatically changed back to the new value. And furthermore, our chart has automatically changed back to this value here. So we haven't had to we've only changed one number and it's automatically flowed through. If we change that back to 13, back to 9, back to 9, and back to 9 on our chart. So it's a great way of automatically being able to flow everything through if you make a mistake in your calculations. And the chances of you making a mistake are much lower because Excel's done the calculations rather than them being entered by hand. Now there's another great advantage out of this. Imagine that you need to make a series of charts. First one is average number of plants like this, okay? So we've made this chart, we copy it, and we paste it into Word. I've got Word open here. If I open Word, we say chart for average number of plants, and we push paste. We can insert our chart there. Just make it a little bit smaller, dragging it in. Okay, there's our chart for the average number of plants in each spot. Now let's move back to our Excel sheet and say we also now had to make a second chart which wasn't the average number of plants but was the total number of plants in each zone. Now we could do all of these steps one by one again, which would take ages, or we can just make a really simple change. It all flows through automatically. Okay, so let's move to our data table sheet. At the moment we've got averages in each of these red cells here, and if we click up here in the formula bar at the top, we can see it says the average. Now, instead of average, if we want the total, all we need to do is double click on the word average up here so it's highlighted and type over it sum. Sum is Excel's way of calculating a total. So now we have the formula there, you can see, equals sum E4 to E7. Click enter and you can see now it's added up how many seedlings there are in total in that group. If we want to copy that formula down to each of the other groups, we just say copy, Control C, move down here to our next cell, paste, move down again, paste, move down again, paste, and you can see we've added up the number of seedlings in each of these groups. If I just do a check on the last group here, adding those up, 1 plus 5 plus 4 plus 1 is 11, which is what we've got. If we look from the top, our numbers are 36, 24, 16 and 11. If we move to the chart sheet and look, we've now got our numbers 36, 24, 16, 11. And our chart is automatically updated 36, 24, 16 and 11. We need now just to change that word there, average, to total. And if we put that into our Word document, we just click on that, push copy, move into our Word document, start a new line, say total number of seedlings, and push paste, and we'll just make that again a bit smaller. And you can see we've got two charts done really quickly with exactly the same formatting, one that shows the average number of seedlings, 9, 6, 4, 3, and one shows the total number of seedlings. And we've been able to do that just in a minute or so to compile that whole second chart. And the reason we've been able to do it so fast, if we move back to the Excel spreadsheet again, is because this cell here has a formula in it that links it to the previous table and links to the graph. Everything's linked. If we made an error in our first table, we can fix it and it flows right through. We can go to the table, we can change this from average to total or whatever else we want. So whenever you can, always avoid trying to type in new numbers into Excel. Link the cells and it'll do all the work for you. It'll make all the steps a lot faster. That's it for now. Bye.